in favor of the humble people, and we can prove it. But do we not want corruption to continue? And the same political, this matter was handled even for people that in the previous government they received money, yep, to support causes. To support immigrants, and the money never came to the immigrants, and that has never been clarified or find out what happened. So even if there's protests, in addition, as I said so many times, I think it is a conviction. There must be criticism, there must be discrepancy, there must be opposition to the government, because it is substantial to the democracy. But if they're not right, then we going to whereas we're going to be rebuilding everything. We're not going to be quiet. We're going to exercise our right of reply and criticism, and make actions all the time, forever. So we got to rest, but we have the right to clarify or to argue, and why do we do things on our way. Then all the information that is required is available. At the same time, for the case and other programs, applies also if there's mothers who were not counted or missing to the program, but in this percentage not found, this percentage that it wasn't found is considerable, and this is being repeated in other programs that that applies previously, like it happens all the time. Programs from the secretary or social development that is pending, we're going to present also the same report on what was found, on what was exercised, and it did not arrive to the beneficiaries, to the people. Very good. Basically, this is it. Good morning, President Alberto Rodriguez, ESPS News, and I ask a question is a subject by general interest that has many very delicate edges. I ask excuse me, I know, but it's my turn to the denunciation of the movement. Despite the fact that most of the complaints for malady are not addressed in Mexico, there are very high levels of impunity, and despite the fact to the victim, many voices dismiss the anonymous accusation, and now they are even blaming the whistleblowers of the death of Armando Vega, the musician who committed suicide a few days that the government is going way too fast. It's a subject that must be attended. I consider that this might correspond and it must be doing, but we gotta pay more attention in the at the Women's Institute, like the way you you put it out because it is a subject that is being debating about how act and avoid, how to prevent, and also to safeguard the dignity of the people. So much of the one that accuses as the one that got the accusation. That can be seen. It's a good topic to deal with whatever are you raising it up. It's delicate, but we cannot hide it. We have to tell everything. We have to speak up. Yes, the two of you. Good morning, Oscar Love Plus from the Foundation Thompsons. The withdrawal of federal resources to civil associations has left many organizations that work with the theme of HIV. If the funds are adequate to provide detection services and prevention at the same time, the change of how to make tenders for medicines has left a shortage of medicines to treat this disease. At a time when the rate of this disease is growing in the country, what the government will do and to make sure that the most vulnerable population and the poor, the transgender, the woman, the gay men, among others, have access to the measures of prevention and treatment that could save their lives. Thank all the support for those who need medication. It's not about leaving them without protection. Is the other way. We have to serve them better, and we have to find medicines. I have to look the form that I'm sure that the Secretary of Health and what we want is to end with corruption in general, because that is the cancer that destroys Mexico. As I explained the last time, that we bought $4,000 million of medicines. Only one company have sell to the government $1,300 million. That's what it is. 3 other companies, 60% of overall the medicines. And in effect, there are no medicines in the health centers, in hospitals, with all that expense. So now we are making purchases with security, and the United Nations is participating. So that way, it will be a clear or transparent shopping, and there is no corruption, because it is a crime to steal the money from the medicine. So then that's what we know we don't want any longer to happen, and we have to stop this. As I said, we have to finish, and like I said, has a fundamental mission to serve to the people in most needs, to the sick people, to the poor, to the humiliated, to the marginalized. I have said it so many times, and I repeat it now. We're gonna attend everyone, and to listen to all and respect to all, which is very important, to respect. To the opponents, respect the right to talk, but we will give preference to humble people for the good of the poor people. So to help even more, Why? Because or why? This this monstrous inequality happen or occur where if you have it all the millions, even the most indispensable, if you have a lot and many have a little, almost nothing. Why? Because of the corruption. Here does not apply completely that there is a high class that stays with the profits from the exploitation of the working class. You know what we know, Marxist theory. You know, the capital is accumulated for the exploitation, and that is carried out by a high class or by the high class against the the proletariat. It's not entirely true in the case of Mexico. It doesn't apply strictly. This theory or these rumors that we study when we were in the high school or college, especially in soil sciences. In Mexico, the inequality is being produced mainly by the corruption, by the looting, by the use of the government and for the benefit minority, you know, of the people suffering. So then, what we no longer want is that we don't want a government become a service committee, a band of of delinquent people. Yes, criminal people, of ruffians, of gang members. We no longer want it. It costs a lot of work. There's a lot of work. The application of this new policy after so many years, especially after 36 years of the neoliberal model. This thing, as I repeat, what it means to privatize, look it up in the dictionary, is to convert, is to make the public into private, because that was the policy. It was 36 years ago. Then already all that does not apply. It's not happening. Then it takes lots of work, it takes time and discomfort. There are protests over there and over here. There's resistance, but the transformation is going. But in no way is to harm people or whoever needs it, especially to the humble people or to the people that needs. Is on the other way. It's for them. It's for and to fight the monstrous inequality that exists and that it was in practice the indigence and the opulence, and there is equality for that is that we are and in corruption. That is the purpose, to finish corruption. And it has so many benefits. It doesn't take more than that to end corruption, and it is achieved the king, the renaissance of Mexico, because it pays the budget. Because here's what we see in these programs, but in others. Imagine what they did. They deliver, for example, contracts for the gas pipelines. it was annoying. They bring contracts to build up gas pipelines, and the company that receives the contract, authorized by the CRE, all these organizations that they were created to 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 take money, basically to steal money from the government. If a gas pipeline costs $1 billion, it's going to end up paying $8 billion. But that's not it. The gas pipeline is not going to be part of the Federal Electricity Commission. It doesn't become a property of the nation. The company still owns it, those pipelines. That is more than a corruption. That is robbery, is looting, is stealing. The kind of contracts, I'm sure, that are not granted nowhere in the whole world. Nowhere in the world. Only in Mexico. They abuse. They did a lot. That's what we don't want. I understand that might be concern in a good faith, well intentioned, for those who think that all these measures that we are taking is going to affect the rights, the citizens and the people that that need the support. In a no way. Yes, Mr. President, looking at the art of the passion for business political bridge project, coming from Sonora. President, good. First, I want to thank you on behalf of the Sonoras, the 2 visits that he make us in the month of March. As I come from, we have in the too fast for me. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, they're talking about the Manning people and how in the Sonora state and the Chihuahua state, how they're going to operate. Basically, that's what he's asking. Okay, there's a spills also with the mine, from the mine people. So basically, they got problems with people, with the mines. Okay, so there's a 4 questions. He also says in the Sonora border, the gas prices they're still the same basically. Wow, very good, very good questions. Now we have to remember me one by one. and so I can give you all the answers. And I'm glad you're here. And also, this is an invitation for all the journalists, people from all the states to come over and make their proposals, because this conference is seen by many citizens and the whole country. Then yes, answer yes. There's a commitment, and it helps me a lot to push the elephant. There is a commitment to finish the road that crosses our hours for April or May. That you cannot spend the time anymore. Inform the owners is committed, and the engineer is Alfredo Escalante. I will say in Escalante that yes, the road all the way to Nogales. I will not go to to the opening. That is not the purpose. I'm pretty sure the communication secretary is going to be there. I will be waiting for them to finish the work, and more than going to opening, sometimes I will be more, early in the early stages work, because that does matter, the beginning. But the generation, of course, the governor of Sonora and the communication secretary. In the case of mining, it's similar. And there are different things. Yeah, I'm talking about the children's summit. I spoke here of authorizing money, and the people where the exploitation is carried out, mining, does not even know that correspond to him as support. I can here make the call for what CS in municipalities where there is exploitation, meaning, and to tell me, or if they want to keep this question, if they know that there was a tax to the mining companies, and that money has to go to the towns and to the villages where they carry out the mining extraction. I can guarantee that 70 to 80% of the population, the mining areas, they did not know, because this was not safe. The money stays on top of it, and only the governors and the presidents, they're not informed and say, because I go to the villages and I ask to the people, so they didn't know. And not only they didn't know, but the money never came. They didn't apply it. So that now in the new rules of operation, we want to be supported in a direct way to the population with those funds. And so if in their Sonora there's $100 million, they gotta give it to them directly. And one of the way that it's being contemplated is that it is being delivered as interest-free loans, so that those have a small business or workshop, so they can have a credit without interest. We call it tandos for the welfare, and they can pay monthly. We're going to start with an amount of 6,000 pesos, and they're going to be finished those 6,000, and they're going to deliver it automatically 10,000 pesos. They finish paying the 10,000 pesos, and we're going to give them 15,000 pesos. They finish paying the 15,000 pesos, we're going to give them 20,000 pesos. And the money is there. And there, if there are losses for the payment of interest that absorbs the bottom, for a possible loss that we calculate can be a a minimum of 10% of non-payment, because most of the people in Mexico is fulfilled with its commandments. The greatest wealth of the Mexico is the honesty of its people. So we think that in this way we can help to the mining population, and it reactivates the economy. That's why you are raising up about the mining. And of course, some authorities, without having all the elements or for wanting to handle funds as it was before without transparency, they disagree and they presented a controversy constitutional saying that we do not, and we cannot decide on the rules of operation of these programs. So we hold the federal place that if we can have interference, to decide on how the funds are going to be applied. This is already in the judiciary, and we are going to wait for the judiciary to resolve about this controversy. And about the damage caused by the spill, and from wastes from the mines of the mine of the Mexico group in Sonora. In effect, a trust was created, but there is a disagreement about the operation of plants of treatments. Some others they were installed, and this process is being reviewed to tell the people that they are going to check how the funds were applied, and that he invested that was in what wasn't invested, and we're going to report about our about the gasoline. Yeah, you're right. This is the same. We have to push the elephant. I was over there. I went to San Luis River, Colorado, and they were applying, but yeah, no, not in Caborca or Nogales. So then I already give instructions to the Secretary of Economy, Graciela Marquez, to make it inform that is all the same across the border, to remove obstacles, to decrease the income tax, for the rent, and for the IVA decrease from 16 to 8%, which is being applied very well. And I know is the increase of the salary, of the minimum salary, but the committee is missing or not is fully applying the program of the free zone in the border, but we already are working on that. We have problems in Agua Prieta and Puerto Peñasco also, presenting the theme in particular. I told him, yeah, in the case of in Puerto Peñasco, no, all the border towns. Oh, it's no longer in the border. Now remember that they are only 25 kilometers from the dividing line. Then we will see it anyway. Oh yeah, the biosphere of Pinacate, because we see research from all over the world, and is one of the less iconic images of our state, is where we protect wildlife and flora, And sir, we take note from now, you see, and tomorrow in the morning in the security meeting, this coordinates precisely a Sonora, Alfonso Durazo. We're going to ask to attend this matter, the Cabinet of Security. That was it. Okay, the two, the three, the key. Two. The two of you. Yeah, that's a very good questions, and they are the main topics, in the more worrying in education. You see how everything is politicized, load up with ideology and the issues, and it's more interesting this topic. There's thousands of schools that are attended by one or two teachers. The six, the 6 years. That is, it is a multi degree. A teacher takes care of children from elementary, from first to second and third. Another teacher takes children to third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. By the dispersion population that exists, we're looking for how to improve the systems. There are options. There's an option which is to the creation of the integrating centers of services. We are working on that. We're gonna go to set up 8,000 integrating centers, which are populations and more down in a population with less population than municipal, but closer, to a small population, to scattered small populations. These integrating centers, we want to create schools, to have schools, hostels, and complete it. They will train people so that you can follow what we are watching. Is like the children of communities separated, that they have to receive education with the teacher for all the degrees, or to or how to they can attend these schools that are so far away. They can be even up to 6 to 8 hours per day on foot. So then the children are Monday to Friday in these centers, in schools of education, complete, comprehensive, also with activities related to with to the production with trades and workshops and agricultural activities, shelters that can live there, that they can have food and live the Friday afternoon to their communities with his parents are returned early on Monday or on Sunday. We are working on this. There are already models that they have worked where they have applied and concentrated what more than you can, because we're talking about very small population where there's school with 40 students, with 15 students, then you cannot have a teacher for each grade. So then we're working in that. Well, I'm glad you bring it up. That's one of the biggest problems. I don't have the data exactly. Tomorrow I will have it, but I'm sure. And now you can stop calling Andres Manuel. That most of the schools, there are multiple grades in the country. So then when they talk about, if I start calling Andres Manuel or like Manuel, but yet there are thousands. It's very important to touch this topic because this is not even, it is known. It's not known that the funders of the so-called reform educational, they go on the other side, that, and they don't attend this, is what you should care. And about later also issue the dissertation school. Those situations, many students, they can no longer study. The desertion at the middle level, superior, that is worrying. For those who they enter in high school and do not finish, is the highest percentage. Then are the issues that we have to assist in education. We are the one. That good morning. I'm Jocelyn Gutierrez. Can you see that data? 43% of the schools. I already lost. 43% of the schools are multiple grades. Very many schools. Jocelyn Gutierrez, politician, point of Mexico, to ask for all those questions, President. And if let's ask a question to the welfare secretaries. I'm starting first that the Senate already approved the eligibility of the triples for the believing fact that this week could be voted to elect the next commissioners. And the commission be in senators like Xochitl Galvez continue to criticize the profiles that you sent to the Senate. In this case, I ask, this is what is they call it, the opposition B. In this case, also to ask about the governor of Tabasco, Adam Augusto, denied the association of high the kidnapping, stated that there is no an increase in this crime in the state, and he also stated that he increased what is the intentional homicide due to something like that, and the drug traffic. And I would like to know, what do you think about the current situation of security in his homeland, Tabasco? Okay, I hopefully it's been approved. The internal ones that they were sent for the CRE. Well, there's difference. It's obvious, it's natural, because also it's another method. Before it was negotiated, and then between the parties, two parties for me and two for the other. That's the way it was. Now it's not like that. So now they're going with their list, wanting to get them to his relatives. And it's also a matter, imagine the CRE believes that he was the one that authorized all our leonine contracts. are they representatives or were representatives of interest groups? They were created even with the conflict of interest. It does not suit them. Now, technicians and honest people are the one that it was sent. 39, a newspaper, the press fifi, and saying that one of the they sent they are honest minds. They're all professionals. They're all meat, but they're not, like achichincles. And then that's what they don't like. This is why it goes. And the innuendo is let's agree not to stay, to the law. If you say then, if you then not meet the profile, then reject them. I maintain that yes, and I can prove it. And not only they're good, they nation and honest people. That is what is more needed. Remember, you guys, that the novel of the Puso sent his children to one of them to study to abroad, to a good colleges, and that is not guarantee. Anything also the level of academic also do not confuse education with culture. That is another change. There are times that the grades are thought academics are like equivalents to to noble titles, and they were patented for this one. And to commit acts of corruption because it comes from he studied at university famous outside, from great prestige, and so that's why he's an expert. Well, no, nope. Everybody's a good technicians all know about the subject. Yeah, it was him, the engineer of Destiny, were shouting. I said, "Here's one of them. He knows more about our refinery in this country." And I told him that the Nazi has 85 years. He looks very well, an active worker. And I said here that he was 85, and he told me, "I thank you, lawyer, but because I don't have 85, I have 90. But as it is presidential decree, I already have 85." That's people that knows, he's one of those who are proposed. Then let's hope to see what, hopefully all the senators, they will check this topic. And hopefully it's going to be attended. So we'll be relaxed. Because they're scary, because before there's the Congress also is creepy. They also arrested when they were going to extraordinary, when they were not going to extraordinary. All the reforms that they make in the neoliberal period and to affect the people, they were authorized in the Congress. The reform constitutions. Then, when they were in recess, when there were sessions who are not going to try this, it was a public treat. Then we'll have a peace that they're not going to try things, you know, against the general interest. All the reforms who order it from abroad, from outside, for the application of the agenda of the so-called structural reforms, they were approved by the deputies and senators. All the modification to the legal framework until they can even do the the story. But now there's no more. Now there's more tranquility that the legislators act independently, and there is no this slogan for them to approve certain politic. Then that's what that I can answer you hopefully and resolve soon. The other thanks. Yeah, the other. Yeah, he told him that the government of Tabasco also takes. If you look all these days, we see what happens in the states. And Tabasco has seen criminal incidents. Let's say is halfway through the table in criminal incidents, in homicides, in robberies, in kidnapping to the half. Yesterday, for example, this I'm certified is not to sing victory, but yesterday of the 32 states I can try is more hopefully and pass the table today of the homicides. There were 50 states without elections of the 32. That it is encouraging. That was yesterday. And about 70 homicides. Yesterday is every day. We are seeing these things. For example, yesterday, the states with the most homicides, Chihuahua, and maybe the state of Mexico. Yeah, this was from yesterday, in homicides. But don't count where there was no homicides. How many are? According to our information, there are only 15. $62. There are some other sources, but ours is that one. It's Chihuahua, the one with more homicides, 10, and the state of Mexico with 9. And here we ask ourselves if there's some trace in Tabasco. I'm at 6 o'clock in the morning watching this. We already make it public every day. Yes, for a state, yeah, you're already going for this, yes. But every day, this is our concern. But we not only worry, we occupy, we work on it. From this is, from this table is how we make decisions. For example, if you see California, we have 4. When we only have only in Tijuana 20 is that the plan is working for us. Guanajuato, for example, that always has been up on how many now? Two? And Jalisco is another state, another complicated state. How many they bring? Four? This is for your question, but this is not sufficient. This is not enough. This is daily. And there we go, little by little. Of course, this will improve. This is a challenge besides that we need. And the integration of the National Guard, everything that we are doing soon, we're going to present very soon. We are working the plan to reduce the drug use in young people, because we're convinced that if we're not, we go down in the consumption of the drug, if the drug uses continues to increase, we will not be able to stop the violence. So is first the damage that causes the drugs that are being consuming the crystal, the famous kitchens. Then we want, it's like a plan of attention to young people. For example, yesterday the alcohol, but about, we are very concerned about the synthetic drugs. They are highly destructive. That is, and we have to stop the consumption of young people, and we're already working for that. It's going to be a plan, just like we did with the people stealing gasoline. We're going to face it, so we're making the plan for the attention to young people. Because yesterday a survey was published in the one that referred that, let's say, the index of alcoholism focuses more, let's say, to these young people between 18 and 29 who have to do with the young program, and it say that at least 1 in 10 is immersed in alcoholism. We are working on the diagnosis to know, or cannot be, transform a reality that does not know. We want know well how is consumption, how has behaved. The consumption of alcohol and consumption of drugs from time to date, because it's very serious. And decrease in consumption, because the Mexican population, by our cultures, do not forget that the culture is that always save us. Then for our cultures, by the cohesion of Mexican families, the Mexican family is the institution of most important social security in the country. Then lately there has been a lot of problems and disintegration of families. So there was not so much consumption. There was no increase in consumption in the country. It was more traffic. So we have to address the issue, because if we face the increase or stop the increase. We break the increase in consumption. If we decrease them, we're going to be able to guarantee the peace and tranquility. Is because the addiction takes, see, the consummation of other crimes induces to commit other crimes. Besides, the damage that causes, or or even the destruction of the young people, then that is a very important issue, which is a priority issue that we are going to attend. We are already working on that, and already this is going to be accompanied by a campaign, but we don't want anything else. It's not just a campaign. That's not just is don't be doing drugs or do not fall in it. You know, in the class of the delinquents, or don't destroy yourself, but to give alternative options to young people. Spot young people so they don't fall in drug addiction. In preventive campaigns, there are mothers who tells me the commission that trusted him with the people, because the same man tells me about what happening. Parents are worried about the first preventive, and also the already when there is an addiction, it's like and recover the young people. That's why the program Young People Building the Future is preventive. That the young have options, have but not enough alternatives. But missing a comprehensive plan. That is the one we're going to work yesterday in the Navy. Dismantle and dismantle facilities from drug processing kitchens. They were making crystal. Didn't have there the photos already with this. We finish because we already spent a lot today. Yeah, we're in the section, but this is important, and we already tackle it. Then, while they search, thank you very much. Okay, look, you look it up. This is a problem. Look what is juice. This is terrible, destructive. Excuse me. In Sinaloa. Jesus is gonna give you the report. This is in general. This is in general is not known always because it has to do with the actions that takes place. But today, as issue comes out, we care a lot about the plant operation. This and we're seeing. Let it be known what it is for. Let's all help in this plan as well. How I help it with the guys with the stealing of gasoline. Help the young boys. Never again turn your back on young people. Okay, we're gonna finish. Tomorrow we're gonna see each other, and also, and after tomorrow we're gonna be in Jalisco. It's a subject that is already being addressed. There's a very communication with the government of the USA. The Secretary of Foreign Relations, Marcelo Ebrard, has permanent communication. We are helping. We are going to work to keep doing it. So that way, to avoid a conflict or fight. Let's keep the border open. Until now, I can tell you they are open all the lines, all the border entrance. There is no problem. That implies it, it is not significant. There are no problems. Not a serious problem. There are not. We're not going to talk more about this issue. We are going very well. We are helping. It is a phenomenon, and I hope it is a temporary thing. Have several edges, and the most important thing is to handle it with responsibility, and there is a cooperation among all that government act in a way joint, that it stays the communication at the border. It's that it does not suit us to nobody. The closing of border is not the most recommendable. I celebrate that already the US government is recognizing that we are helping. We are going to keep doing it. We will continue to support with very carefully, very cautiously, because it is about a phenomenon that arises for the negligence of people. I told them that I was talking about We have to take care of the causes. We have to implement programs, development immediately in Central America, and we are acting in that in that matter. And the deporter from Mexican is a minor percentage. It has to do with our brothers, Central Americans. When we blame them, this has to do with the need. That's why we have to take care of our border, that the law applies, respecting human rights. There is no detention of immigrants at the border. South Central Americans are acting very proudly, and yes, it is looking to be the law to be respected, and we're doing very well. I'm not pessimistic. I'm optimistic. I think they're going to solve things. I want to ask you another topic of health. Yeah, there is no shortage of medicines, pressures. So imagine if it was scratch. Well, they don't like that date right now. This business. It was a gold mine, but the proof must continue to apply. Of course, you know, because there might be individual reason, but everything is solved. And what are you raising now? If you were presenting, if it was happening today, Dr. Holhauser will attend. And they are now the excuse for the inconvenience that these works are causing. But cooperation is going to end. And it is also interesting. It's not boring when there is controversy. If not, life is very boring, you know, when there is no debate. That is the democracy has that a great attractive. A stimulus is to maintain a society life, is to maintain this smart ones that wakes up, plaintiff. That's democracy. Is what they want. Imaginary citizens. Without the citizens of truth, then we're living a very, very interesting time. Many much participation. Thanks. Thank you very much. Alrighty, guys. This is like my second translation, and there's basically lots of you know misunderstanding, but hold on.